Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood in the heart of the chamber, sensing the pressure of 1,000 alien gazes. The Galactic Council hall soared upwards, a cathedral built for beings beyond comprehension. Its curved walls were lined with viewing platforms holding delegates from 647 distinct species. Some, like her, breathed oxygen. Others were enclosed in environmental pods bubbling with methane or liquid suspension. A few pure energy beings shimmered like captured stars in their containment fields. She had been on her feet for 3 hours as the Council deliberated humanity's destiny. Her legs throbbed, but she would show no weakness, not now, not when Earth and all its colonies awaited her word. The Supreme Orbiter lifted its 7-fingered hand. The entity resembled a blend of a mantis and a tree, with bark-like skin and eyes emitting a soft blue glow. When it spoke, the translation device in Elena's ear rendered the clicks and whistles into speech. "The Council has arrived at its judgment," the Arbiter announced. "Humanity's petition for full membership in the galactic community is rejected. Moreover, humanity is forbidden from joining any subsequent councils or alliances within Council-recognized territory." Elena felt a pit in her stomach, but her expression remained neutral. She had anticipated rejection, but the ban was a shock. "The reasons are manifold," the Arbiter proceeded. "In the 43 years since first contact, humanity has shown a pattern of aggression that deeply concerns this Council. Your species armed 3 colony worlds, defying our recommendations for peaceful expansion. You declined to share your artificial intelligence research with the Council's Tech Assessment Bureau. You defended a mining operation with lethal force, causing the deaths of 17 Zephoid raiders when containment and arrest were viable options. They were pirates attacking civilian miners," Elena interjected, unable to restrain herself. "They were desperate refugees seeking resources," a voice retorted from an upper gallery. Elena identified the speaker as a Zephoid delegate, its tentacles writhing in agitation. "Your people slaughtered them like beasts." "Order," the Arbiter commanded. "The human ambassador will have her turn to speak." It fixed its glowing eyes back on Elena. "But the fundamental issue is not a single event. It is your species' core nature. Humanity rejects guidance. You innovate without authorization. You challenge authority at every opportunity. You possess independent military forces far exceeding what is necessary for simple defense. These actions suggest a species that cannot be trusted to function within a civilized galactic society." Elena took a steadying breath. "May I respond to these accusations?" "You may. The Council labels us aggressive, yet we have never initiated a war. We call our military defensive because that is its purpose. We innovate because advancement is integral to our being. We question authority because blind obedience is the path to tyranny." Elena scanned the chamber, meeting the eyes of as many aliens as she could. If desiring freedom and independence renders us too dangerous for this Council, then perhaps the flaw is not with humanity. A ripple of sound moved through the assembly. Some species clicked in approval. Others hissed. The Orbiter waited for quiet. "The Council presents humanity with 2 options. You may consent to technological limitations and be restricted to your home system, with Council monitors ensuring your compliance. Or you may continue on your current path and face total economic isolation. All trade pacts will be nullified. All scientific collaboration will end. No Council species will be allowed contact with humanity." "That isn't a choice," Elena stated quietly. "It is a prison or banishment." "It is compassionate," the Arbiter replied. "Some Council members argued for far stricter measures. This is the compromise we achieved." It paused. "You have 30 days to provide Earth's response." The session concluded with the traditional closing chant, a harmony from hundreds of throats that would have been beautiful in other circumstances. Elena turned to depart, her mind already calculating the implications. 43 years of diplomacy, all leading to this. As she walked the long corridor to the exit, a figure emerged from the dim light. Elena's hand reflexively went to the small plasma pistol hidden in her jacket before she saw the robes of an archivist. The archivists were one of the Council's most ancient species, beings of pure intellect who had transferred their consciousness into crystalline matrices eons ago. "Ambassador Vasquez," the archivist spoke, its voice coming from the crystal matrix that hovered at head height. "I voted against the ban." Elena paused. "You were the only one. I saw. My people have observed civilizations flourish and collapse for longer than your species has been bipedal. The archivist said. We see patterns others overlook. The Council is afraid of competition, not of danger. They have grown complacent in their dominance. Humanity is something they haven't faced in 10,000 years, a species that will not be managed. That doesn't help us, Elena said bitterly. Doesn't it? The archivist drifted nearer. The Council is enormous, but it is not boundless. Their power ends where their sensors cannot reach. There are sectors of space they have never charted, regions they've dismissed as too hazardous or resource poor. A species prepared to take chances could discover opportunities where others see only void. Elena examined the floating crystal. Why are you telling me this? Because stagnation is mortality, the archivist answered. The Council hasn't faced a true challenge in millennia. They are inflexible. They require competition to recall how to adapt. And perhaps humanity must learn that there are other methods to build a civilization than pleading for inclusion from those who will never grant it. Before Elena could reply, the archivist floated off, vanishing into a side passage. She stood alone, absorbing what she'd heard. The archivist hadn't offered sympathy. It had offered hope. Elena returned to the human embassy vessel and immediately initiated an encrypted conference with Earth. When the president and joint chiefs appeared, she skipped the pleasantries. We've been banned from the Galactic Council, she stated. They're offering us a cage or total isolation. I suggest we accept neither. The president frowned. Elaborate. There are regions of space the Council doesn't govern. We possess the technology to get there, even if it means creating new FTL systems without their consent. We can establish our own colonies, forge our own alliances, and shape our own destiny. Elena felt her determination solidify as she spoke. They believe we're too hazardous to include. It's time to show them what humans are capable of when we cease asking for approval. The screen was quiet for a moment. Then the president smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of someone accepting a monumental gamble. Draft the plan, the president ordered. Let's show the galaxy what humanity does when we no longer follow their rules. Captain Sarah Chen rechecked the navigation display for the 100th time. The coordinates held steady, but her unease persisted. Her vessel, the Pathfinder, was poised to make a jump with technology half the scientific community called impossible, and the other half called suicide. All systems green, her engineer reported from the lower deck. The quantum drive is stable at 98% efficiency. Sarah nodded, though the engineer couldn't see. Through the forward viewport, the other 11 ships of her convoy hung in formation. Each carried 5,000 colonists, their families, and the gear to build a new world from scratch. Behind them, shielded by Jupiter's shadow, 36 more convoys awaited their turn. It had been 17 years since the Council's edict. 17 years of secret research, clandestine construction, and meticulous planning. The project's name was simple, the Long Road Initiative. Its goal was simpler: get humanity out of the Sol system without the Council's knowledge and found colonies beyond their grasp. The official narrative was that humanity had submitted to the Council's terms. The monitors near Earth reported that human ships dutifully stayed within the approved perimeter. What the monitors didn't know was that those ships were decoys, flying in circles while the true exodus staged in the outer system, where Council sensors were blind. 15 minutes to jump, Sarah broadcast on the fleet channel. Final equipment check. If anything isn't perfect, say so now. The replies came back one by one. All green. All ready, all terrified but refusing to admit it. Sarah thought of her daughter, 8 years old, sleeping in the cryo bay 3 decks down. She thought of her parents on Earth, whom she would likely never see again. She thought about piloting 55,000 people into completely unknown space based on theories never tested at this scale. Then she thought of the alternative, living in a cage, forever watched, forever limited, forever kneeling to a council that viewed humanity as a contagion to be contained, not a civilization to be respected. All ships, this is Pathfinder Actual, she said. The council told us we were too dangerous to join them. They told us to be grateful for their mercy in letting us live. They told us to stay in our corner and be quiet. She paused. I say we show them what humans do when someone builds a wall around us. We go over, under, around, or through. Today we choose through. Jump in 10 minutes. The responses that flooded the channel weren't military acknowledgments. They were cheers, whoops, and a very creative curse from the captain of the Colonial Hope. Sarah permitted herself a small smile. The quantum drive was humanity's most protected secret. Conventional faster-than-light travel used jump gates, colossal structures the Council had built in which they monitored, controlled, and taxed. The Council said it was for safety. Human scientists knew it was about control, but human researchers had found something in old physics archives. A theoretical model suggesting space could be bent directly, no gates required. The math was agonizing. The power requirements were astronomical. 3 prototypes had been lost in testing, but finally it worked. And crucially, it worked without the Council having a clue. 2 minutes, the navigator called. Sarah felt her heart hammer. She had commanded warships in the Titan uprising. She had flown rescues through asteroid belts. She'd survived a hull breach in deep space. None of it compared to this. All ships report ready, her first officer said. Coordinates locked. Safeties are off. We're committed. The target was a system the Council had charted and dismissed. 1 star, 3 rocky planets, and per their limited data, nothing of value. The second planet's atmosphere was toxic. The first too hot. The third, an ice ball, in other words, perfect. The Council would never look there. 30 seconds, Sarah said. Charging quantum coils. The ship thrummed as immense power surged. Through the viewport, the other ships began to glow with blue-white energy. Space itself seemed to pucker around them. Seconds. 9. 8. Sarah gripped her command chair. Her daughter was asleep below. Her future was ahead. Her past was falling away. 3, 2, 1. Jump. Reality inverted. Sarah had read the pilot reports, but nothing prepared her for the sensation. Space turned inside out. Colors that had no names flashed. Her stomach tried to occupy the same space as her lungs. Time stretched and snapped. Then it stopped. Status report, Sarah yelled, fighting disorientation. All systems functional. The engineer shouted back. Drive is powering down. Hull integrity 100%. We made it, Captain. Sarah looked at the navigation display. The numbers were new, placing them nearly 400 light-years from Earth. Around them, the other 11 ships were materializing, each exiting its own quantum tunnel. Roll call, Sarah ordered. I want confirmation from every ship. They all checked in. 12 ships. 55,000 colonists, all accounted for. The first successful long-range quantum jump in human history. Through the viewport, Sarah saw their new home, a yellow star with 3 planets. The second planet hung like a poisoned jewel, its atmosphere a thick soup of CO2 and sulfur compounds, utterly unbreathable, utterly hostile, and completely beautiful because it was theirs. Begin deceleration burn, Sarah commanded. Prep the survey teams. Launch the atmospheric processors. We have work to do. Over the next 3 months, more convoys arrived. More people, more equipment. The toxic atmosphere of the second planet slowly began to transform, as thousands of processing towers pumped oxygen and broke down the poisons. Habitats were carved from rock. Hydroponic farms sprouted. It was brutal. People died. Gear failed. But slowly the colony took root. 6 months after arrival, Sarah stood on the surface, her envirosuit still needing supplemental oxygen. The sky was more orange than blue, but it was changing. In the distance, she saw the lights of New Beijing, the first city. Her daughter ran up, clumsy in her own small suit. Mom, they said we might breathe outside without tanks in just 10 more years. Sarah hugged her through the bulky suits. Maybe sooner. That night, Sarah got a message from Earth relayed through secret channels. It was from Ambassador Vasquez, retired, but still coordinating the Long Road Initiative. The message was short. 23 more convoys are ready. We've also contacted the Forgotten Ones, Comrie species exiled by past councils. They want to meet. They want to help. It seems we aren't the first civilization the Council tried to cage. We're just the first to do something about it. Sarah read it 3 times, then sent her reply. Tell them we have room for anyone who refuses to bow. Tell them we're building something new. Tell them we're building something better. She looked up at the alien sky, at the stars the Council claimed to own, and smiled. Humanity's exodus had begun. They were not stopping. Admiral Marcus Chen walked through the packed market on Refuge Station, marveling at what 24 years had produced. The station orbited a dead world in a system the Council had never named. Humans called it Hope's End, the place the desperate came when they had nowhere else. The market was alive. Human vendors sold hydroponic vegetables. A six-armed Karathi mechanic repaired a gravity regulator, haggling with a human. Three young Venturi children, scales gleaming, chased each other between stalls. A forgotten one, its ancient mechanical body still running after millennia, examined human-made electronics. This was the Dominion. Not an empire, but a promise. If you were willing to work and live in peace with other outcasts, you had a place. Marcus reached the central plaza, where a holographic display showed Dominion space, 47 colony worlds, 12 major stations, and 6 species that had joined humanity. It was small compared to the Council's 647 members, but it was growing fast. His assistant, Rachel Park, met him. "Admiral, the Cathar delegation is here." "Conference room 7, Marcus nodded. The Cathar were a delicate situation. A powerful 3,000-year-old insectoid member of the Council. Their loyalty was unquestioned, until 6 months ago when a plague hit their colonies and the Council deemed diverting medical aid an inefficient allocation of assets. The Council let them die. Humanity sent medical teams. It cost resources the Dominion barely had, but it saved 4 million Cathar lives. Now the Cathar wanted to talk. Marcus entered the room. 3 Cathar, nearly 8 feet tall with polished obsidian exoskeletons, waited. "Admiral Chen," the lead Cathar said, its translator converting the clicks. "I am Hive Coordinator Zethar. We come to discuss a matter of great importance. Please sit," Marcus gestured. Zethar settled. "The Council believes we are here to complain about human interference in our medical crisis. They believe we will demand compensation for the insult of accepting charity from a banned species." "Are you?" Marcus asked. "No," Zethar leaned forward. "We are here to formally request membership in your Dominion. All 7 of our colony worlds wish to secede from the Council and join humanity's alliance." Marcus had faced combat and assassination attempts, but this was unprecedented. A founding Council species defecting. "That is not a small decision," Marcus said slowly. "The Council won't accept this. There will be military action." "They have already shown us what their protection is worth," Zethar replied. "When we needed help, they calculated costs. Your people calculated differently. They asked what was right, not what was profitable. That is the difference. Over the next week, they planned the secession. It had to happen all at once. On the appointed day, all 7 Cathar worlds broadcast their intent to leave the Council and join the Dominion. The Council's response was immediate. They froze Cathar assets, banned all trade, and sent a battle fleet to restore order. They hadn't counted on one thing. The Dominion had been preparing. The Cathar worlds had been secretly armed with human-based defense tech. When the Council fleet arrived, they found orbital platforms, shield generators, and a grid that made invasion unthinkable. The Council commander demanded surrender. Marcus sent a reply broadcast across Council space. "The Dominion does not conquer or enslave. We do not abandon our friends. Any attempt to force the Cathar back under Council control will be met with the full military power of the Dominion." "This is not a threat. It is a promise." The Council fleet withdrew without firing a shot. The cost was too high. More importantly, the entire confrontation had been broadcast. Citizens on thousands of Council worlds had watched their government try to reclaim a species that wanted to leave, and they had watched the Council blink first. 3 more species applied to join the Dominion within a month. Marcus stood in his office on Refuge Station, looking at the updated map. 78 worlds, 9 major species, enough strength to be more than an annoyance. Rachel entered without knocking. "Sir, we have a situation." A Council Black Ops team was caught sabotaging the shipyard at New Perth, planting explosives in the main reactor. Marcus's jaw tightened. "Casualties?" "None. Security spotted them. All 6 operatives are in custody." "Good. Transfer them here." "We'll hold a public trial." Rachel looked shocked. "A trial?" "Sir, they're enemy combatants caught in the act. We could just execute them." "We could," Marcus agreed. "And that's exactly what the Council would do. But we are not the Council. We're supposed to be better. If we want the galaxy to see us as different, we have to act differently." The trial was broadcast. The operatives were given lawyers. The evidence was overwhelming, but they were treated with fairness. They were convicted and sentenced not to execution, but to labor, helping rebuild the shipyard they tried to destroy. The broadcast had an effect Marcus hadn't foreseen. On Council worlds, citizens began asking questions. Why saboteurs? Why did the banned humans treat prisoners better than the Council treated its own citizens? Species began to see the Dominion as an alternative. Not perfect, but honest. Marcus received a message from Ambassador Vasquez, now 93 and still advising from Earth. You are doing well, but prepare. The Council will not tolerate this. They will move against us soon. Not with saboteurs, with armies. Marcus looked at the star map. They were outnumbered 100 to 1, but they had something the Council didn't. They had nothing to lose and everything to prove. Let them come, Marcus said quietly. We'll be ready. Commander David Okonkwo stood on the bridge of the DSS Defiance and watched the Council fleet assemble. His tactical display showed 147 warships, each larger than anything the Dominion could field. The threshold system sat between Council and Dominion space, claimed by both, controlled by neither. It had 3 vital jump points. For 5 years, both sides had maintained observation posts. Now the Council had brought an army to claim it. David's ship was one of 37 Dominion vessels, 37 against 147. The odds weren't good. Status report, David ordered. His tactical officer, a Cathar named Shiktar, replied. Council fleet is in defensive formation. No weapons charged. They seem to be waiting. They're waiting for us to back down, David said. Communication from the Council flagship, sir. Broadcasting on all frequencies. The view screen showed a Velcron admiral, its crystalline body refracting light. The Velcron were one of the Council's proud warrior-founding species. Dominion vessels, the admiral said. You are in violation of Council territorial space. The threshold system is under Council jurisdiction. You have 12 hours to withdraw? Failure to comply will result in military action. David signaled his comms officer. Council flagship, this is Commander Okonkwo of the Defiance. The threshold system was surveyed by your scouts 300 years ago and dismissed as worthless. Your own records show no territorial claim. We established presence here first. By your own laws, that gives us right of occupation. There was a pause. The Velcron admiral's translated voice held a hint of surprise. You cite Council law? You who were banned? We cite common sense, David replied. The system was empty. We built stations here. We've been operating peacefully for 5 years. Now you arrive with a battle fleet and claim it was yours all along. That's not law. That's bullying. 12 hours, the admiral repeated. We will not negotiate with outcasts. The channel closed. David turned to his crew. All hands, prepare for extended standoff. Rotate shifts. But David was also sending coded messages to Admiral Chen at Dominion Command and to intelligence agents in Council space. The reply came in 6 hours, and it was worse than he feared. The Council's plan wasn't just to seize the system. It was to use this conflict as a pretext for a full-scale invasion of Dominion space. The goal? Crush the Dominion, seize their quantum drive technology, and either eliminate them or enslave them. David read the brief, cold anger rising. They weren't here to negotiate. They were here to destroy. He called his ship captains. 37 faces, human and alien, looked back. The Council is not here for the threshold system, David said. This is the opening move in a war of extermination. If we withdraw, they'll see it as weakness and push harder. If we fight, we'll lose, and they'll use it as justification to attack our civilian worlds. A human captain named William spoke. So what do? We can't win a shooting war. We don't fight, David said. We reveal. He explained his plan. It was incredibly risky. It required perfect timing. But if it worked, it would change everything. The next 8 hours were a blur of preparation. Tech teams worked frantically. Intel officers moved into position at key Council communication nodes. When the 12-hour deadline hit, the Council fleet advanced in attack formation. Weapon systems charged. Targeting computers locked on. David gave the order. Execute Operation Sunlight. Broadcast on all frequencies. Blanket coverage across Council space. What appeared on screens across 647 Council worlds was not a military transmission. It was a data dump, years of intelligence compiled and verified showing the Council's true plans. Intercepted communications between admirals discussing the seizure of Dominion tech. Secret memos detailing plans to enslave captured Dominion citizens. Financial records showing Council leaders siphoning resources. Most damning were the communications about the threshold confrontation itself. Messages proving the Council had engineered the crisis. They knew the Dominion had a legitimate claim. They had come here to start a war, regardless of the Dominion's actions. The broadcast hit every network in Council space simultaneously. On the Defiance bridge, David watched his tactical display. The Council fleet had stopped. Weapons were charged, but no one was firing. Confused messages flew between ships as crews watched the same broadcast their families were seeing back home. David opened a channel to the Council flagship. "Admiral, the entire galaxy has now seen your government's true intentions. You can still fire. You have the firepower to destroy my fleet, but you cannot kill the truth. Every citizen in Council space now knows you came here to start an unjust war and commit atrocities in the name of peace." The view screen flickered, showing the Velcron Admiral. Its crystalline structure seemed dimmer. "You have made a grave mistake," the Admiral said quietly. "The Council will not forget this." "Good," David replied. "We don't want you to forget. We want the galaxy to remember that the Dominion does not start wars. We defend ourselves. We tell the truth, and we will not be intimidated." Over the next 72 hours, Council space erupted. On 42 worlds, citizens rioted, demanding answers. 7 species threatened to secede if the Council proceeded. 3 Council members resigned in disgrace. The Council fleet withdrew from the threshold system. David stood on the bridge, his hands shaking. "Commander," his tactical officer said. "Message from Admiral Chen," he says. "You just prevented a war and possibly saved the Dominion." David shook his head. "We delayed a war. The Council will not forget this humiliation. They'll come again, and next time they'll be more careful." "So what do we do?" David looked at the star map. At the threshold system, now firmly Dominion territory. "We get ready," David said. "And we make sure that when they come, the entire galaxy is watching." In the following weeks, ships began arriving at Dominion stations. Not warships, but transports. Council citizens seeking asylum. Scientists wanting to work free of restrictions. Families who had seen the broadcasts and decided they wanted to live somewhere that valued truth. The Dominion hadn't won a war. It had won something more valuable, the galaxy's attention. And once people knew an alternative existed, everything changed. Elena Vasquez was 103 years old. She was about to return to the Galactic Council chambers, not as a supplicant, but as an equal. The shuttle descended, and Elena watched the familiar Capitol towers come into view. 60 years had passed since she had stood alone and heard humanity declared too dangerous. Now she returned with a delegation of 12 species representing the Dominion. The galaxy had changed. The Council still existed, but its absolute authority was broken. 19 species had seceded to the Dominion. 37 more had demanded reforms. The Council, once a single voice, was now fractured. Elena's joints ached, but she refused the offered wheelchair. She would walk into that chamber on her own feet. Admiral Marcus Chen, now gray-haired and scarred, walked beside her. "Ambassador, you don't have to do this," he said. "No," Elena said firmly. "I was there at the beginning. I will be there for this new beginning." The chamber itself had changed. Where 647 platforms had been, only 409 remained. Many of the empty ones belonged to Dominion species. The new Supreme Orbiter was an Aquilian, a being of contained starlight. The Council recognizes the delegation from the Dominion. "You may present your proposal." Elena stepped forward, her voice strong. "The Dominion comes today not to seek approval, but to propose a new framework. For too long, the Council has operated on the principle that order requires conformity, that peace requires control. We have proven there is another way." A holographic display showed both Council and Dominion space. "For 60 years, our civilizations have existed in tension. Border skirmishes, espionage. This cannot continue. Eventually, we will go to war. A war that will devastate us both. We propose an alternative, mutual recognition and cooperation." A Velcran representative stood. "You speak of recognition? After stealing our members?" "We stole nothing," Marcus said, stepping beside Elena. "Species chose to leave because you failed them. You let the Cathar die of plague. You restricted technology to maintain control. You crushed dissent and called it peace. The Dominion didn't create the conditions that drove them away. You did." "The Dominion offers a simple truth," Elena continued. "The galaxy is vast enough for multiple civilizations. We do not need to destroy each other. The Council cannot force the Dominion back. The Dominion will not challenge your authority over species that choose to remain. What we can do is establish boundaries, open trade, and create mutual defense pacts against external threats." The debate lasted 3 days. On the 3rd day, the archivist who had spoken to Elena 60 years prior requested to address the assembly. Its crystalline matrix floated to the center. This council has existed for 47,000 years, it said. For the last 10,000 we have been stagnant. The arrival of humanity and the creation of the Dominion was not a disaster. It was a necessary disruption. Competition makes us stronger. The choice is simple. Do we adapt and grow, or do we cling to old ways and die? I have seen civilizations make this choice. Those who chose growth survived. The vote took a full day. The result, 247 in favor of recognition, 142 opposed, 20 abstaining. The Treaty of Two Powers was signed a week later. It established formal recognition, opened borders, and, most importantly, affirmed that all species had the right to choose their own governance. That night, Elena received a message on her personal communicator. It was from Sarah Chen, the captain who had led the first convoy. "We did it, Ambassador. We were banned, rejected, and cast out. We responded by building something better. My great-granddaughter starts at the Dominion Academy next year. She'll grow up in a galaxy where humans and aliens work as equals. That is your legacy." Elena felt tears on her old cheeks. She sent her reply. "It is not my legacy. It is humanity's. We proved that too dangerous just meant too free. Tell your great-granddaughter the galaxy is bigger than anyone thought, and there is room for all who are brave enough to reach for the stars." 5 years later, Helena Vasquez died peacefully aboard Refuge Station. Representatives from 46 species, including 12 from Council worlds, attended her funeral. Admiral Marcus Chen gave the eulogy. Ambassador Vasquez was told humanity was too aggressive, too independent, too dangerous. She could have accepted that cage. Instead, she helped us prove that our greatest strength is our refusal to accept limitations. She helped us build a civilization based on freedom. Marcus looked up at the stars. The galaxy has changed. The Council is reforming. The Dominion is growing, and somewhere out there new species are taking their first steps. When they look for examples, they will find the story of how humanity was banned from the galaxy and responded by building our own. On Earth, in the Grand Archive, they placed Elena's original speech next to the Treaty of Two Powers. Beneath them, a simple inscription. They told us we were too dangerous. They were right. We were too dangerous to be controlled, too dangerous to be caged, too dangerous to give up. And that made all the difference.